For New Orleans, it's kind of the same question, and we went over it a little bit. But how do you think this changes their offseason approach when you're looking at additional trades or what they might do in free agency? We talked about the Kyle Lowry element to no end. Are you okay if the end result is Lonzo Ball is gone, maybe Josh Hart's back, we don't know, but you've signed Kyle Lowry, and that's why you did all of this? Are you good with that?
Probably not, just because what are you doing with that timeline? Lowry is roughly 45 at this point, right? Like, still a great basketball player, but how does he fit with the Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram timeline? That's what doesn't make sense to me. If you want to bring him in because you're anticipating making a huge leap, by all means, but you're not doing that by replacing Lonzo Ball and or Josh Hart with him so much as supplementing. I'd be much more okay with that if it's in conjunction with Lonzo Ball re-signing, which there should be enough money to do now.
I'm sorry, the last point, what's in conjunction with Lonzo Ball signing?
A Kyle Lowry addition.
Yeah, sign and trade, I guess, is still possible. The framework gets a little bit more fickle now. I will say, if Kyle Lowry and Zion Williamson are on the same team, they must be the NBA duo that has like the biggest collective asses that we've seen, right? Like that has to be a thing. The biggest kadonk duo or whatever it would be called.
I think we just need an all kadonk team if that happens. Future episode right there.
The all kadonk team. I agree with you. If you can get Kyle Lowry while keeping Lonzo Ball, I think that's the move. I'm not saying signing him would be a mistake. This would be an awful lot of trouble, though, to just get him. And it would also reek of, remember when they kind of prematurely accelerated their timeline with Anthony Davis? I know Zion Williamson is great, transcendent, but it's the same thing as sort of John Morant. Like, this isn't Luka Doncic, who's shown that he's just going to pull a mediocre roster to, fringe title contention, and maybe he does next season.
Don't you have to in today's NBA, firmly in the midst of the player empowerment era, which is largely a great thing. But like, if you're not immediately appeasing these teams, we've already seen how much speculation there is about when they're going to leave.
So I'll say no, because he's not off his rookie contract yet. I don't care whether his family is happy, whether that's like valid there. He's going to sign his next deal with the Pelicans and just show him that there's a light at the end of the tunnel somehow. This, though, just ending this with Kyle Lowry would not be the worst case scenario. I'm just saying, to go through all that, undoing moves that you already made that seemed a little bit premature when looking at the Adams contract specifically, to just get Kyle Lowry, where Lonzo Ball is now an asset that was given up as part of that, it would just feel a little bit weird. I'm not saying it would be terrible, because I love Kyle Lowry and I love his fit on this team. But they also need to, they still need wings. Like, what if Josh Hart might leave as a part of this if you're getting Kyle Lowry? So you fixed your lead guard issue. What is happening with the wing situation? Because you have Brandon Ingram, and then what? And then again, maybe Josh Hart. You still have to do you get in the Justice Winslow sweepstakes right now just because he's a possible wing defender, even though he can't shoot?
Are there Justice Winslow sweepstakes?
That's also fair, because he can't shoot, and the Pelicans need shooters. So it comes back to some of our targets for New Orleans still hold a lot of weight. Miles Turner obviously doesn't make sense anymore if you're planning on keeping Jonas Valanciunas. I would still argue Miles Turner is the better fit, but we don't know what his counter situation is. I will tell you, two of the ideal free agents for them are, I'll go three here now. I'll go four. Is, can you diversify your 4 or 5 rotation further by getting a PJ Tucker, a Jeff Green, a Paul Millsap, or a JaMychal Green? They don't address your biggest needs, but it allows you to change up the look without pigeonholing yourself to, this third big can only play center, like Valanciunas and Jackson Hayes. Those guys can only play center. All 4 of those guys, I would argue, you could get minutes for at the 4. Jeff Green might be the one at this point where you don't, but he could certainly defend 4s. Aside from that, I'm just the wing shooting market. If they could get in the Duncan Robinson sweepstakes, that would be the splitting the difference part, where it's Duncan Robinson keeping Lonzo Ball. I don't know what it costs to get Duncan Robinson out of Miami, whether that's even possible to do so. I think it might also be time to think, maybe we need to think a little lower end for them. Just find shooters on the wings to put on the court. A Furkan Korkmaz,
Alec Burks, Garrison Matthews. Like, there are a lot of names out there.
Garrison Matthews would be fantastic for this team. Yep. That's a great call.
I figured you'd like that one.
A Furkan Korkmaz, who's not the best shooter, but gets kind of streaky and gives you some size. James Ennis shot 43.3% from three this year. So those might be names you're looking at if you're not trying to do anything too sexy. I even thought about someone who hedges this, and I feel like his name comes up in every discussion. Reggie Bullock, obviously, his name comes up. He'd be good for this team. Will Barton all of a sudden makes a lot of sense for this team. If you're going to commit yourself to Lonzo and you don't have that lead guard fixed, he's someone who gives you some secondary playmaking, a little floor spacing, not so much defense. It's just, again, it feels like they could be pulled in so many more different directions than we initially thought about. And the wing market in free agency this year is very just sparse, unless you're going to, like, even the biggest names, like Norman Powell would kind of be nice for this team, but like he doesn't give you enough
get
defense.
Expensive, though.
It's expensive. I don't think he's big enough for them, and he's not going to give you like the defensive juice that you need. The last question I'll ask you on the Pelicans as a free agent target, let's say just Lowry's not coming and you're trying to split the difference. Another name I thought,
want Frank Ntilikina here. I'm just going to cut you off there. Like, come on.
Let's end the podcast. No, what do you think? What do you think about Spencer Dinwiddie for this team?
It's hard to pinpoint any guard target right now, given the inevitable dabbling with Lowry and Ball. If Lowry
I'm saying if no Lowry's
we're operating under that assumption, then I do think Dinwiddie makes sense as kind of that downhill attacker who can create for himself, can get everyone involved. He's probably a higher end target. I think that could get expensive quickly, but theoretically that fit would make sense.
The shooting would be a concern. Career 31% three-point shooter. That's why it gives me pause. Maybe if you don't get Lowry, does someone like a Goran Dragic become available because he declined his team option? I don't know. I think everything could be on the table for them. I would like, and Sterling Brown, I think makes a lot of sense for them now. So I'm interested to see what they do, because this feels like one domino that's going to fall in a line of, let's not say many, but a modest amount. Do you have Brad Henry did say in the chat, I think in life acceleration matters more than speed. So just show the players team growth year over year. I would agree. I just think Kyle Lowry's 35, and if you're giving up the 10th pick, I know you still have a first rounder, but if you're giving up the 10th pick and Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart and another first round pick while moving down 11 spots in the second round to get him, it just feels like that feels a little overly ambitious. Maybe I'd be wrong, and I love Kyle Lowry, but I don't think that can be the move. Like, it needs to be, okay, we at least kept Josh Hart or something at this point. Right. But it would be less than ideal to lose Lonzo Ball as part of the Lowry transaction.
I'm right there with you. I think that it has to be in conjunction with a re-signing.
That'll do it for us. For people who are listening on the podcast, we will now cover the rest of the Western Conference.